They've lost Chalet. If they are then 2-3 rounds down, it starts to become a real problem where you're thinking, we're only 4 rounds away from going out here. TSM start on defense. It's not ideal for FaZe. They need to come in on the attack and really send a message here.
Another Hibana ban coming in. Real hard targeting out against Geo today. That's 2 maps in a row. They've taken away his most played attacking operator. Interesting. Defensive side probably going to be something like, oh, okay. I see you with the clash. That's a bit of a spicy one. As opposed to seeing, say, a Mira, a Valkyrie, you're going to see one of those 2 power picks on this map creep through, and that only benefits TSM in the first 6 rounds. Valkyrie going away. I'm curious to see, Tim, if Mira gets picked up on the majority of these sites, because for TSM on this map, it can do a lot of work. I think about Aviator games and being able to lock down Study. I think about when you're defending Trophy and Statuary and can lock down Master Bedroom. It can really impede attackers and make their lives difficult.
We'll see how the pick rate for Mira goes. At the minute, not immediately in the lineup for TSM. May change during the 6-pick phase. We will see. But Trophy and Statuary, it looks like, is going to be our round number 1 site choice. Charlotte goes for the flip over to the Frost. So there's not going to be any Mira brought along for Trophy Statuary. As you say, I think maybe Aviator games are a little bit more likely, but still not essential here. Charlotte, interestingly, sticking with that Frost, we saw it have at least a big impact in 1 round on Chalet. There was obviously, you know, more use for the operator, but there was that big round where Cyber was looking to get in on the behind, get in on the flank, and just poof, straight into the Frost mat, snapshot, and ended it before it started.
In one of the games TSM played on this map, the Mira was banned away. In the one that it was available, they played it in one of the few rounds they had on the defense. So we know it's in their wheelhouse, but for this round at least, on this site, it's not going to be part of the lineup. Instead, as you say, Tim, going in towards that Frost. And I've said it a couple of times this week, by the way. Whenever I see a castle, I'm like, oh, something spicy's coming. And it could well be.
Now I'm a bit like, oh, Geo's played.
No, never mind. Castle main, go figure. They're trying to lock down a little bit in towards the Cubby side of things here, I think, just to give them a more, I suppose, confident angle to be able to challenge inside of the Cubby itself, inside a bathroom. But by the same token, the most important thing it does is stop there being an angle from bedroom through the Cubby wall that's now been opened up and into the bathroom. So the members of TSM can play a little more aggressively inside a bathroom, at least in the early round, and look to keep, I guess, FaZe kind of bay, slow them down a little bit, give TSM time to rotate around. So all with the intent of saying, right, we've seen what Super endured against the LATAM team on this map. How can we slow them down? Castle, not a bad pick.
We've been seeing more of the aggression in towards Master Bedroom recently on the defences of Villas, particularly that shield being placed on the bed allows somebody to push up potentially through Concrete Door and really get aggressive up into Master. As long as you don't expose yourself to that window on the right-hand side, you're usually fine. Geo, he's going to find himself getting challenged here pretty soon. Turns away at maybe just the wrong time. It's the Iana clone first of all, but then it is being followed up. Nice and easy. How does Bullet walk into that when Geo just a second before has taken down the clone? But FaZe have an answer. Souls, Astro managing to find 2. Cameraman gets in as well. 4v2 now.
TSM going super hard on the roam and getting absolutely clapped down by the side of FaZe. 3 kills to kick things off, and it leaves them in a 4 versus 2 with just under 2 minutes to play, Tim. That is bucket loads of time on this map. They've still got themselves 6 drones. They've still got themselves a ton of nades in back pocket. Make that flashes, make it regular nades. You've got so much to play behind here. It's a lot of work for Merc and Achieve to do in the back line here. Normally the 2 that you'd see at the forefront of this team doing the hard yards. Instead, they got Charla, they got Geo out in the map, and so far it hasn't gone too well for them. They've got to hold on here, Tim, for another 75 seconds or so, but I'd expect to see FaZe taking away this round.
Merc's just going to take a little tickle of damage there. Nothing too serious, but needs to be careful. The nades continue to rain in. It was explosive damage that he took last time around. Big play from Achieved and gets caught on his way back in. Something FaZe have done well so far, Des, is able to get those trades, able to put TSM in just unwinnable situations. Souls starting to get that diffuser down. Pressure mounting on Merc. He's pretty much stuck inside of bathroom now, but he's going to have to get moving because it's a 1v3 diffuser down and he's got about 30 seconds to find 3 kills here. Manages to find Astro but can't quite spray him down. Takes a lot of damage himself and backs his way into a corner right now. There's no way out for Merc as FaZe, they're not going to push this. They don't really need to aggress it. I think Astro's just thinking about the pre-fire and the move. Gets the man, and that's FaZe, despite losing that entry, coming in and getting round 1 on the attack.
I'm pretty sure Astro in the first round of this map has already got more kills than he'd got on the entirety of Chalet. He was 0 and 9 for the longest time. I believe believe he picked up his first kill towards the back end of the map. So it's good to see them starting in different spirits. And this kind of feels like what we saw from TSM back on Chalet against FaZe, right? They were just barreling through them in rounds, slaughtering everyone that stood before them, barely giving the other side a chance. And that round really did look hopeless for the side of TSM. I'm not going to sit here and say Charlotte and Geo can't shoot. They absolutely can, otherwise they wouldn't be in TSM. But what I'd like to see a bit more of, Tim, is getting Bolo, Achieved, and Merc in that front line. When they've been fragging out all tournament line, when they are your gunners, get them in the face of those entry players from the side of FaZe.
Absolutely. You know, as I spoke about at the beginning, that's your core. And like you say, I'm not by that suggesting that Charla and Gio are periphery players. You know, they're just playing a different game. The core three there are going out, getting kills, making the challenges to allow Gio and Charla to do what they do so well. And by contrast, Gio and Charla and what they do so well on the support and those sort of flex roles from Charla is facilitating those three in doing that. It works, it's perfectly symbiotic, and they just need to see a little bit more of that. It's early days on Villa yet, you know, but they need to be winning those gunfights if they're going to see it improve.
Look how many impact nades are on the side of TSM here. They've got 6 in back pocket. That's enough to get yourself a full Pokeballs. However, what they're looking for with that is to nile onto the laundry wall. The thing is, FaZe haven't brought along a conventional hard breacher. They've got the Maverick. Now, sure, you can just yeet a bunch of those towards the hard breacher and hopefully kill him in the process, but they were hoping they were going to see something like the Ace cells being brought along, or the exothermics from the thermite, because if so, you could clear those off, you can just keep on rotating through those impacts and the wall never gets opened up. So maybe slightly impeded by the setup here coming out of FaZe, and could it be something FaZe are aware of, seen TSM do before, and want to make sure they can't get away with that same style of play again.
Ball at the top of main stairs here, so TSM going to try to hold on to the top floor for at least a little while. Ball dips himself away. We'll see just how far. Is he going to stop at red stairs, or is he heading back down them? He's going to barricade off, so it'll at least slow the progress of FaZe, and it just acts as a little audio cue for him that he's being pushed, and he's going to try and hold on to the top of red stairs, I think, given that he's getting some goo mines down. Cyber manages to take down Achieved, and that is one of those core three gunners that we've been saying need to find the feet quickly on Villa, or they might just find themselves at a little bit of a deficit to the FaZe team.
Feels like a showcase in so many of these games. Think about the best of 3 yesterday, Tim. The first 2 maps leaning one way or the other, really getting to see the strength of either side. And then it felt like that third map was the one that really went on to make a difference. Astro cruelly having his drone stole out from underneath his hands there as he reached out for it. Gio finding one back. A couple across the 2 rounds now. Not a bad start. Merc with a C4 as well. TSM starting to warm up in the round. However, FaZe, I've said it a few times, they don't need to panic here. They've still got 90 seconds to play. They've got a bunch of flashes on them as well. When you look in the back pocket of Cyber, they can play into this because there is no anti-nade setup, there is no Wamai, there is no Aruni, there is no Jaeger. So as long as they time this well, get on their drones, use those flashes effectively, they will be able to find the kills they're looking for.
Got Souls on the hunt, but he's going to be shut down with a big shotgun from Charla, and that is exactly what Charla does so well, just providing that backline support to TSM and shutting down the man who was aggressing towards Cyber. He's got himself into a little bit of a corner. It's going to be Charla, it's going to be the shotgun, it's going to be a second on the round, and TSM are able to level things up in dining and kitchen.
Really came back with a fight there as well. TSM 4 players left alive at the bitter end of it, really only losing Achieved inside of Living Library. Outside of that, it was just the TSM tail from start to finish. A good round and a good way to fight back into things. That being the offsite is never going to be a bad thing either. Now we step across into trophy and statuary. So back where we were in round 1, where TSM did, being quite frank, get absolutely slammed. So hopefully here there's a small change in who's playing where. We've made the call for Merc, Bolo, Achieved to be the ones meeting the aggressors into the building rather than your supported players. And hopefully it works out a bit better.
Round number 3 is going to see us heading back to trophy and statuary for TSM. I mean, it went wildly wrong in round 1, Des, if we're honest. They got the opener, and that was about all that TSM got out of this site. So they're going to need to do something different. For me, it's particularly the impact on the roam that they need to be finding. They lost a lot of the gunfights. They lost a lot of men very, very quickly last time around as FaZe were able to cut them down. The problem for TSM that faces them at the minute, you feel like if FaZe get 3-all, I'm then really weight this in the favour of FaZe to take it on defence.
Quite possibly so, yeah. Again, knowing they can sit behind that mirror if they want to in the second half. Once again, no anti-nade utility coming out for the side of TSM, just really not in their wheelhouse, despite the 6 frag grenades that have been brought along by FaZe in a couple of these rounds. Round 1, round 3, the last one there were a couple less, but not like it made all that much of a difference. Still got rolled over with 4 members of TSM being left on their feet. There is a bit of a change here, because what you are seeing is Merc, and it was achieved for a second, looking to do the roam down towards the south. Charla is dug in on the smoke up towards the north, but you still got Geo out here looking to get busy.
Merc still just putting those corner stations down as the final touches to the preparation are completed. And FaZe, they're well underway on trying to get themselves inside of the map here. I like to see this better aggression from them. They were a little bit slow at times on Chalet and a little bit tentative, but now getting in there, getting the nades in, looking to get the boots on the ground behind it. Achieved and Geo holding on to the study side a little bit harder this time. We saw Geo inside of games. He managed to get himself the opener, but FaZe were able to play into it a little bit more.
Sneaky,
but
sneaky.
He's looking to maybe go for a little bit of Route 1 here, Des.
This is Route 1, mate. This is... They're taking the maze here, I think. It's not when you go to some weird, like, outdoor adventure place and you've got to walk through a hedge maze. They've got to find their way up through the bowels of Villa. And here they come, the juices up, and Bolo's the first one to greet them. But Astro, with that extra bit of juice, keeps himself alive. That's where you're seeing the strength of those finger boosts. But he dies out to the smoke of Charla as he steps forward. Cyber is in position to come moving up just as soon as this smoke has expired. And Achieved, I think, wants to step in here and get his teammate up, but doesn't want to risk it. Cyber finding him from below. A 3 versus 2 for FaZe, and Geo and Achieved to do it all.
Interesting little bit of game mechanic that we don't often see there too often, Des. Finker does take more damage from the smoke canisters when boosted by the
it's not a
nanobots.
huge amount. You just
not a huge amount.
You die 1 tick sooner.
Exactly, it's quicker. And already having taken damage, it was too much for Astro to deal with and gets shut down. Obviously, the theory there being that your breathing's a little bit quicker. So Achieved just trying to hold on to angles, knows that the push is coming in through Astro. FaZe have got themselves established. They've just slowed down a little bit. Nothing wrong with that. They've just taken the foot off the gas. They've got the ground that they need. They've got some space. Let's try and find the final men. Achieved, however, he's going to be the one to find somebody first, taking a headshot onto FaZe, and it's another one of those kills exactly when TSM need it. Leveling it up 2-2. 2 versus 1. Achieved again on the triple, on the on to 4 and 5 rounds. The problem for FaZe is it becomes a big mental game then, because you're a couple of rounds from going out, and that's no matter how good you are on a map, no matter how well you are gunning, that is going to impact on you. You've been here for 2 weeks, you've been grafting, you've been, working night and day on this, and you're all of a sudden a couple of rounds, not just from going, but from going inside of 2 maps. Not the way that they would want it.
Just worth noting again, because I touched on it at the moment it happened, when Astro took that entry engagement onto Bolo and had the juice coming out of the Finker, that kept him alive. He was down to sub 20 HP once that firefight was said and done. And this is another thing I've kind of chatted to a couple of coaches about, is the meta that we're in right now. What problems do you see? And a few have said, and many of the kind of community feel the same way, gone 6s on operators like Iana, Finker, for example, just a little bit too strong. But the real strength comes in 1, LMGs, and 2, in things like the ARX. As soon as you are juiced up and you're taking an entry fight on, an extra boosted amount of HP, you're getting dropped down to, say, 50 HP, or in Astro's case, down to about 15, you stim yourself again afterwards, and before you know it, you're back to near full HP and ready to go again. Entries with super powerful guns or LMGs that can fire for seemingly ever, an extra padding bit of health makes them really obnoxious to deal with, and this is why, if attackers are going fast and rapid and really hitting you hard, it can be hard to get a kill back the other way. So don't suddenly be alarmed that Bolo is like Samson and has lost all of his ability now that his hair's been cut or something crazy along those lines. No, he can still get those kills. You are just struggling against very powerful guns behind essentially big bullet sponges on the attacking side.
Exactly that. Geo and Achieved playing around red stairs. Going to need to be moved, and obviously they're in position to try and slow down any push from the north side, which is exactly what we're seeing at the minute. Achieved just holding himself a nice little vertical angle, but I think FaZe are aware of it. Achieved's actually dropped himself away all the way down to the basement now, and that might just keep him alive, because I think Cyber was just on the hunt there as he was moving underneath, but Achieved might just be able to work his way up behind him here, Des. Cameraman's down, and this is not looking that great for FaZe, depending on what happens with this push from Achieved.
That was a C4 out the window, I think, coming out of Merc there as well, that put him down. Has got himself tucked in tight against the building, so it's a little bit harder to finish him off. Astro, not too far away. Could have just juiced him back to his feet, to be fair, but has worked all the way around. Achieved, finding out Cyber. A 4 versus 4. Geo down on the other side, losing that one right early. Not super ideal against 4 frag grenades now that the sledge is gone. But still, not the end of the world, but still not ideal.
Achieved doing great work from the basement there, able to rotate up and catch Cyber out. Cameraman has been collected, so that puts us back to a 4 versus 4. Just going to get himself up to the rooftop for the time being. FaZe really slowing down here, Des. It feels like this early bit of aggression, the loss of Cyber, cameraman being down, it's just taken the wind out of the sails here in round 4. Utility going in. We've got clearance going on around maps table as well, but Bullet not really too sure where the utility is. He's scanning around, he's not finding anybody, and he just ends up opening a vertical angle up, and it doesn't really gain him too much. Souls is in a position here. He knows that he's clear to get this down behind Vault Wall, but potentially kill's going to be needed first.
Oh, Achieve coming up here behind Astro and Red as well. Oh, but Astro wins out the fight. That's unfortunate. Just saw the two coming in for a bit of an engagement there, but with no utility on site, FaZe can start thinking about that push. You haven't got Achieved on the downstairs anymore with the C4 in back pocket to deny you going for a plant, so it's all about going in for the execute. In they step. Charla still in a position where he could look to help challenge onto this one, but he goes down in the trade. Merc gets one in as well and nicks it away. Astro's got a strong arm his way in. You've got to get the Iana in at the same time. In they come. Bolo can win one swing. Yes, he can, as Merc finds the other. They get the shutdown, and that vault door peak coming out with the shotgun was more than enough to put FaZe in the bin for that round.
It was well played by TSM. The thing is, on the side of FaZe, you pretty much know that's the only place the challenge can come from when you're planting in behind the vault door. That's the only place you got to cover. And there just wasn't anybody there who was able to contest that.
There was Charla versus Bullet, but the instant trade came in and Astro just wasn't quick enough to step back up and take his position. I think he was off watching 90 getting ready for a flank, and you had the Iana versus the Bolo down inside a study. They were kind of watching each other, seeing who made the move first. It was the Iana, and Bolo came in for the swing. So brilliantly played by TSM in the end of it there. Merc being the shotgun hero they were really looking for and almost getting them the entry in the round.
I said it in the last game, I'll say it again now. TSM are just on another level at the minute. I don't even think this is necessarily down to FaZe's performance. It's what do you do? What do you do?
How do you stop them
against a team like this right now? You know, FaZe, they're trying different things. They're trying to adapt. They're trying to be flexible. They're going in for gunfights, but they just can't get anything going. They just can't get anything done. And, you know, we've seen teams there time after time. And for TSM right now, it feels like they could just, you know, take a one shot through a barricade and possibly kill somebody. Everything is just going right for them.
It's very easy to say when we've seen him play well across the two maps so far, but throughout the tournament, one player that you don't really get a lot of appreciation for players like this sometimes, and I guess with the 4Ks it has really helped. But Achieve being a Sledge player, you go about doing your business and you kind of not really noticed. I think the consistency in which he has performed with at this competition, I know he's not in the top 5 in any kind of stat, you won't always be as the Sledge/Flex player, but he is really, really impressed with this competition. He has done before, but never as consistently as he has here.
We've discussed it throughout. We've said, you know, he's not necessarily bringing the flashy kills. It's not necessarily 3 kills inside of 5 seconds. It's not at the top of every leaderboard, but it just doesn't matter because what he has done is propel his team to being within 4 rounds of the grand final because he's been so essential to them and such a solid core, and I'm sure it's going to continue. It's going to be something that Empire need to consider when they go forward. Cameraman just taking a cautious backward step there. I think there was a cap can on the door frame, so not wanting to get himself too aggressive. Knows exactly where Bolo is. Still going to lose it on the reverse.
Not that it matters, because elsewhere they've lost 2 members of their own. You know, it's so painful when you feel like they're finally getting something going and then you lose 2 like that as well. Cyber's down, Astro's down, a 4 versus 3 again. And what's crazy, Tim, is this is Villa. It's a pretty big map, but everything is happening inside the first 90 seconds. I feel there's been 4 or 5 times so far throughout this map I've turned around and said, oh, okay, it's a 2 versus 3, it's a 3 versus 3 with 90 seconds still to play. The teams are just hitting each other with pace, but the thing is, where the Sonics may have struggled to deal with that aggression against the LATAM team, TSM are just like, we got you, fam. We can trade this back. No issue at all.
That's it. And as you say, you know, you pick it up quite right, Des. It's been in the early rounds that we're seeing all this action because FaZe are trying to get it going. They are trying to get themselves inside of the map. They're not playing scared, but they're just losing gunfights, and it's going to start taking its toll mentally on them before long, I've no doubt. Cameraman, he's going to find Achieved, and that is a big kill to level things up. 4 versus 3. He hasn't completed it yet, but I think when the challenge doesn't come back in, he'll have a good idea that the man is down. He'll finish him off, and that levels things up. So FaZe, you've got an opportunity here. You're attacking onto Dining. Top floor control is pretty much yours. Merc does no longer have a C4 in hand, neither does Charla. You've got yourself the kill onto the roaming Bolo. FaZe, they got to push on and find this round.
I mean, he's on a quad. Surely you win the whole thing out now. Charla, the only man that stands between FaZe and another round winning between Cameraman and an ace. About 40 seconds to play with, Tim. It's so much time on the clock. Soul steps in, loses out the 1v1. Surely he can't clutch it up too big here. Cameraman steps in, sees the man, but Charla wins it out. What a clutch!
And this is what I'm saying, FaZe, you're not doing anything wrong. You get yourself a 4K on cameraman. You're looking for an ace. What does Charla do? 1v2. What's your problem? And that is TSM's answer. Not every time, but the point is they have the answer every time. No matter what is happening, no matter what FaZe managed to do, no matter what FaZe managed to get going. And it doesn't matter which member of the team it is. I know that I'm like just completely going like soft over TSM, just going absolutely wild, but they've just been that good.
Cameraman had a 4K, Tim. That was his redemption arc. That was his way back into the series after a really quiet map. One have thought, surely he's swung round, he's dealt with a flanking Bolo. They're in a 2 versus 1, and Charla. Oh, it's unbelievable. Him and Gio have done that a few times throughout this competition. Bringing down this front three. I feel like I'm talking about a football team. When this front three from TSM are out of the picture, when Merc, Achieved and Bolo are no longer a conversation, in several situations, Charla and Gio have been there and they've won out critical rounds. Think about Gio's 1 versus 2 on the castle in Bank Open area. Think about Charla in that round just now. You're going to see that time and time again, and that is what makes this team so terrifying to deal with.
Yep, it really does. It's like you deal with the front three, you think you've got the job done, and you've got one of what has been the strongest backlines in the Six Invitational 2022 to go up against, and they are just locking it down time after time. That's the second time that we've seen Charla have that kind of finish here on Villa, and it just doesn't feel like stopping anytime soon. It's going to be the final defense this time around in round 6 from TSM. Trophy statuary they will be trying to hold on to. We've seen them already defending this site. They lost it once back in the first round. It's the only round that FaZe were able to pick up, so maybe they can get something here, Des. 4-2, not the worst on Villa when you're on the attack, but it really feels like I'm starting to try and scratch for positives for FaZe here, if I'm honest.
I mean, the strongest they've looked is Cameraman's 4K. That is, and even that got shut down by TSM, right? Outside of that, they've all been getting involved. They've picked up the odd kill here and there, but the odd kill isn't good enough against a team like TSM and the caliber with which they're playing today. It's unbelievable, and I'm really struggling to see how they find anything in this 6th round, because even when they've had the numbers advantage, TSM find a way back in. Let's see how things go up towards the north side, though. Yes, Souls is down to about 40 HP. It's far from the end of the world. The only thing that can really complete this out now is another can trap being jumped into and more HP being chunked away from another member of FaZe.
And hopefully that's not going to be the case, because FaZe desperately need a round here. They need a big start, they need an entry, they need to get themselves that advantage. Nade comes in, just forcing Merc away from his aggression onto the door there, but right now you just know that TSM are going to find another way to do it, and there it comes, Merc. He just flips himself to the other side of the wall. He gets 1, he gets 2, Des, and that is going to be Bullet and Souls shut down, and FaZe, they just look like they're in free fall at the minute.
That Vector's lethal, Tim. We interviewed a couple of players about it. Fastest gun in the game can be a nightmare at the best of times. Cyber finds one back, Cameraman another. So the 2 backline players from TSM have been removed, but you've got the man who's on a mission in this round in Merc. He is still standing. In comes Bolo. 1 back the other way, a 3 versus 2.
Shots come in. Merc manages to take the head off of Astro. 3 versus 1, and another for Merc. TSM, they know that the blood is in the water. Dares, they're circling, and they are ready to take another bite after bite after bite out of FaZe right now.
And there's just no response. We spoke about teams limping out. It's starting to feel like that for FaZe. Just not quite playing with the same aggression that we've seen before. They've made an attempt a couple of times here, but TSM, where others have failed, have adapted and dealt with that aggression coming in. And this maybe is where you're seeing a couple of limitations for FaZe. They can't find a way around that roadblock. They can't adapt. They can't find the secret sauce to get over the finish line. Canadian famously said that Bolo couldn't buy around him, but maybe here they bought their way into a grand final with a delivery like this.
Certainly looking that way, taking anything that they want at this point in time. FaZe, I still believe, like many others sat at home who I know will believe as well, FaZe Clan are still capable of doing this, but they have very few mistakes or opportunities left. This is your moment. You've got yourself onto the defensive Villa. Attack hasn't worked out for you, but you're going to have to go very, very well, and they're going to start us off down in dining.
What the viewers at home don't know is the whole time you were saying you still believe, you were just undoing your shirt, and all I saw there was a TSM jersey starting to appear. I know where your allegiances lie.
None of those games today.
Dining and kitchen is where FaZe are going to start, exactly the same as we saw coming out of TSM. Now, between the two sides, differences you're seeing. The Mozzie coming in for Cyber. On the other side, you've got that Nomad stepping back in. That was banned away in the last map, and we touched about if it's missing for the side of FaZe, can we sort of really sting them on Chalet? Here being available will give TSM a bit of confidence they can focus on their way forwards. And the most scary thing is, Tim, you got the boys on their main three. You got Achieved on the sledge, Bolo playing on the Finker, Merc on the Iana here. You just know they're ready to go absolutely nuclear on this lineup.
And you sort of feel like they're probably going to. And FaZe, they're going to have to withstand a hurricane here because TSM are 2 rounds away from a grand final rematch against Team Empire. I mean, the storyline writes itself, Des. Not only is it 2 teams that have been fighting to get there or to get back to the final for a long time, it's also the EU-NA showdown as well. Oh, give it to me! But FaZe, they've still got something to say about this. I know that they've got the potential. They've got it in the tank. Merc, he's taken in that opening challenge. He'd been boosted up by the nanobots, so he's not going to lose any HP overall from that fight. It's just a little bit of a trade, a little bit of a back and forth, and they will dip back. Cyber looking to find his man. Now, interestingly, they've actually got the ground that they need of TSM here. They've got the space above the site. They can start opening things up, but they're not safe because the flanks are going to get hassled from this south side. They know that they need to deal with FaZe over there.
The real heartbreaker, I guess, when you think about it for TSM, they've been top 4 at the last 2 SIs as well. Is this the one, at third time lucky, that they finally get to lift?
Well, they're top 3 now, so they've gone 1 better at least.
The matching where they were, they could fall short here and it would still look a bit dicey, but Merc finding the entry again, he's an absolute demon. I mentioned coming in, he was plus 23, Cyber was plus 10. That was the closest the 2 teams were. And the longer the series has gone on, the more Merc has just buried Cyber and not giving him away into the game.
Astro, he's moving his way back to site here, and that's good for TSM.
Drones, though. Only 1 left, by the way, for TSM, so they are a bit light on the info game.
Yeah, they're going to have to work their way in blindfolded here. But right now, I wouldn't put money against TSM getting kills blindfolded, Des, if you actually blindfolded them on the stage, because everything is going their way. Geo manages to find souls. 5 versus 3 now, and TSM are racing towards a map point opportunity. They've got 40 seconds left to get the work done here in round 7. They haven't yet cleared out site. They're not in a position necessarily to get this diffuser down, so there is still more work for them to do. FaZe, they start standing up. Cameraman, he finds Geo and finds the diffuser. Astro comes out to try and support. This is going to be very difficult for TSM to recover, and they've only got 20 seconds left to do it. In goes Bolo. Is he going to get the kill? Yes, manages the spray down, and once again, TSM win what looks like an unlikely gunfight. Charla in, getting the diffuser down. It's all up to Astro. 1v4, surely not, surely it will be too much. He finds 1, he finds 2, gets the down, but the diffuser is secured. Astro, 1v2, and kills to find.
Achieved on the upstairs is the problem here. I mean, Bolo sure has now darted down into the basement, but he's being contested from above, from below. They haven't even got to worry about this. Like, Astro needs to do a top floor retake. He's got to get rid of Achieved. Can't find him. Of course he can't. It's Achieved. Puts them 1 round away from a chance at lifting that hammer against Empire, Tim. And you know that'll be a grand final for the ages. FaZe, they've got a long hill to climb if they want to get themselves back into this game.
Sure, Empire are going to be watching this with caution, Des.
No, I mean, they played yesterday, and look how good that series was, Tim.
And it's going to be even better because TSM feel like they're at the best that I've seen them at the tournament, here and now, in honesty. They've really brought it at the right time. They have come in, you know, I'm gonna say, I don't think FaZe have really lost this. TSM have won it.
Yeah.
You know, They've just come in and dominated every angle, every nade, every explosive, every strategy, everything about the game. TSM have just completely and utterly dominated. FaZe, you've got a mountain to climb. You've got beyond a mountain to climb. This is not Everest. This is like nothing seen on Earth, Des, to bring it back from this point. They are 3 minutes away from going out, from losing here in Sweden, and TSM progressing.
I was just going to say, we haven't seen a timeout from FaZe on this map, so are they really going to like not call one all the way up to the end? They call it when the death bell's already ringing, Tim. When the Grim Reaper has turned up, ready to take his victims, that is when they call their timeout. Having a quick pause, saying their final prayers maybe, because it feels like there is going to be no way of stopping TSM coming into round number 8. AVG going to be where FaZe set up what could be their last bastion against the North American team, Tim. Can they do it? The next 3.5 minutes are going to tell all.
One round at a time now, FaZe. One round at a time. That is all that you can focus on. You've got to forget the hammer. You've got to forget the 6 Invitational. You've got to almost forget about TSM. And you just have to play your own game. And you need to just take every inch that you can, no matter what it needs, in order to do it. FaZe, as you say, holding on to Aviator Games. Bullet's going to move himself down underneath. He's playing on the mirror, and he's going to use some of that utility to try and hold on to that bottom floor. Nitro in hand, also a Nitro on the side of Astro as well, so there's going to be a lot of potential there for vertical denial. Waste some time for TSM. What I'm concerned about here is TSM just sweeping through that bottom floor, Des, like a torrent, and just washing FaZe out of there.
What I'm thinking here, if TSM have opted to ban away the Valkyrie, they are comfortable in a way that they can deal with the mirror. And when I look at that, I think, okay, you've got the Nomad on side. Really, you're going to have the Valkyrie set up to deal with flanks, to give the information for flankers to make their moves. If you can lock off those flanks in a way that doesn't require you necessarily to have to deal with the Valkyrie, then I thought maybe we'd see that come through. But instead, probably saying, look, we can deal with it from above. We can play the verticals. We can get nades in. So either way, they've just gone, look, well, we're not really bothered by either, but if we have the choice of one or the other, it's going to be the Valkyrie that gets removed.
Achieved is already inside of the map, holding angles. Cyber just, it's above him was the nade, but just made him move his feet just in case. Not sure if he was being pushed. I don't know if TSM are aware of Cyber's position here, but they certainly need to be, because he's looking to get aggressive onto this window. And I think that answers that question, Des. Charla able to shut him down. Achieved was on the push along with him as well. And this is what I was worried about for FaZe, that TSM just come in and sweep through that lower floor. And Bullet, he's taken some damage. He finds himself almost all alone. Onto Souls, 5 versus 3, and TSM, they are taking one step at a time towards that grand final, Des.
What do you do, Tim? You sit still, they come and run over you like a train. You have 2 swings on them. Cyber and Souls both going for a small slow peek to try and bring down the members of TSM that are outside the building, but they're already watching and ready, showing that TSM can move between that more patient waiting game for FaZe to move at them, or they're happy to play fast and hard-hitting and run you over like a steam train.
In comes another, it's Merc onto cameraman, and this feels like the final breaths of a FaZe team that has run its race right now. The legs have gone, Des. It is too much as Achieved finds Bullet. It's 1 versus 5. All the hopes of LATAM rest on Astro's shoulders right now, and he is opening rotations. He's desperately moving. He's trying to do anything he can, but there comes the final kill, and it's a flawless round at the end of a flawless performance from TSM, who will return to NA as heroes, regardless of the outcome of the next map, because they have got the region back into the grand final of the 6th Invitational.
TSM have looked